It's only a couple of months since General Haftar was proclaiming himself as the leader of all of Libya. Very contentiously, it has to be said, but that's what he was claiming back in April. Since then, an awful lot has changed on the battlefield. His forces have retreated from towns to the west of the capital, Tripoli. They've had to retreat from towns to the south. In the last week or so, forces loyal to the Government of National Accord, the GNA, have forced his forces away from the capital, Tripoli, completely. A couple of weeks ago, they took control of the Al-Watiya airfield, absolutely critical in the fighting over the last year or so. And they've also taken control of Haftar's forward base to the south of Tripoli, Tarhuna. He's been forced back, in other words. And the reason, the essential reason for this, I think, is the engagement of Turkey on the side of the Government of National Accord. That really has tipped the balance, because the Turks have been providing intelligence, they've been providing elite officers to help coordinate on the battlefield, and critically, they've provided the GNA forces with drones. And that, I think, has really tipped the balance in this battle, that and intelligence. And perhaps as a consequence of that, some of the forces on the side of Haftar's forces, in particular Russian mercenaries belonging to the Wagner group, also withdrew, pretty much isolating him. That, I think, has been the key. Turkey, of course, expects to get something back for its support, including drilling rights off the eastern Mediterranean coast, perhaps reconstruction contracts in the future as well.
Okay, and Rob, what about this ceasefire put forward by Egypt during the course of the weekend? I mean, is that going to take hold?
At this stage, it looks like almost certainly not. You know, Egypt, like Russia and Qatar, which have invested heavily in General Haftar, is pretty much a loser in this situation and is trying to regroup and gain back some of the ground it's lost. But obviously, for the ceasefire to work, the GNA forces have to be on board as well. At this moment, it's pretty much clear that they're not. In fact, they're saying at this stage that they're going to advance far further to the east. They say they're going to take the town of Sirte, and critically also, they claim they're going to take the Al Jufra air base, which is about 600 kilometers to the east of the capital, Tripoli. And it's an air base which also is home to 14 Russian military aircraft, MiG-29s and Su-24s, that have played a role in the fighting in Libya. The Russians have said, do that and you're crossing a red line. But one has to ask, you know, whether the Russians really are in a position to do very much about it if they do that. Nevertheless, you know, France, which has played quite an ambivalent role, it has to be said, in the dealings in Libya over the last few years, supporting the GNA on the one hand, but also very open to General Haftar on the other, has been calling for the GNA to rein it in. Other Western countries doing the same thing, the UN too. Everybody wants to see peace. But with the GNA feeling confident at the moment, there is a question mark about whether it's prepared to stop its advance.